How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I am your host, Sander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Today, wow, we got a wide screen. I just noticed that. I'm like, how the hell did the screen get so big? All right, so today we are talking about, for some reason, this is not a better screen. I don't know how that ended up like that. It is like sized differently. I think TikTok just updated some stuff, and we've got a 3x5 over here in the left side of the screen. It is definitely not what we thought we were dealing with. All right, so my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. We are supposed to be talking about long distance relationships today. We're going to try to figure out how we're going to talk about that. I'm at least just going to move this off to the side. So for those of you that are looking at us from TikTok over here to the bottom right side, you guys have the opportunity to hit that subscribe button. It takes you over to YouTube, and you can get there and hit the subscription button, follow us on YouTube, and then come back to TikTok and watch us. You also get updates and notifications from us as stuff gets uploaded onto the platform. We're trying to reach that goal of where are we trying to head. We got to get over 10,000, but I'm trying to get us to 100,000 because I like to aim big. But fun fact is that this is very interesting to see. Is that once we get the stream key, everybody's all in the same place. But till everybody's in the same place, we have the rest of you guys that are over here on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You guys can join in by clicking the link, proving the mic, proving the camera, and jumping into the show. So for all of you who are here for tonight's show today, we're talking about some of the hardest issues that we have to come about dealing with long distance relationships. Now, long distance relationships are about as complicated as having a relationship where you spend more time at work than you do at home. If you and your partner are have conflicting schedules, where, for example, one of you's at work while the other one's at home, and you guys don't even cross each other's paths most of the week. In a family where there's children involved, you guys find a way to meet each other because one of you has to give the child to the other one. But under those circumstances where one of you's awake, the other one's asleep, the one that's awake is at work, the one that's asleep never gets to see the one that's awake, and then it switches. You gotta have to remember to prioritize your relationship, and that's one of the things that we have trouble with long distance relationships, similar to not having a work-life balance. And the 20-year-olds, 20 to 25 or 20 to 28-year-olds, those Gen Zs, are having trouble with their work-life prioritizations because these days people want to live life instead of just grinding all the time. And that's one of the reasons why on this podcast I give you guys advice about how to grind, how not to grind, so that you have more money making money for you, so that you're able to live life. But while we're sitting over here thinking about long distance relationships, because with online dating, there's going to be a lot more long distance relationships than back in the day before we had internet, before 2009. So all of you babies that are wet behind the ear that were born after 2009 don't know what it's like to be outside 18 hours a day, finding something to do. You guys have video games up until the typhoon came through and knocked out all the internet in Florida, and now you don't have video games. So you guys don't know what to do for the last 2 days with no lights, and y'all are trying to figure things out. But that was our every day of the week. Some of us grew up in families where they had candles when they didn't need electricity, so you had candles lit instead of actual lights through the house. Y'all just don't understand. Y'all sitting over here with all the lights on in the house, and y'all playing y'all Fortnite on y'all computer, using all your mama money, and y'all just don't understand. The last generation didn't have all that. So speaking of, when we're dealing with those relationships that are long distance relationships, you meet somebody online. So you establish some kind of emotional bond based on your imagination of how this relationship should be, the dialogue and communication that you guys have. And then you guys are supposed to be trying to maintain that over an extended period of time. That relationship is a heck of a lot harder than the other relationships where you guys see each other every day, you know about each other, then one of you has to fly to the other side of the world in order to do a job. That's when you have a relationship where you know what kind of partner you're missing out on. You know what you're sacrificing for this work. And because of that, you still fail. A lot of us fail to make sure that we prioritize the absence of our partner or our absence from our partner. Now, when you are trying to prioritize the absence, because we already know the consequences of not prioritizing it, you guys lose touch, you guys fall apart, then one of you starts becoming attracted to somebody else, and then there's an affair going on, and that affair turns into a more defined relationship because that is an in-person relationship, and then you guys just kind of phase out. Sometimes you end up in situations where you guys completely lose contact with one another for an extended period of time, and then when you guys come back into the same place at the same time, that's when you come to realize, oh, she's moved on. And usually it's the she moved on, because men are loyal like dogs. Women don't believe that, but men are loyal like dogs. So 9 times out of 10, a man will spend 10 years trying to get back to the woman that he cares about, but you're not going to see that reciprocated. So when we're looking at long distance relationships, you've got to learn how to nourish these long distance relationships. So how do we go about doing that? I have been talking to some of my guys in Taiwan, and we were actually coordinating different ways, because his girlfriend is in Sacramento, California, and right now he's in Taiwan, and he's going to be in Taiwan for 6 months. So we were sitting there talking about ways that he could like communicate with his girlfriend, make sure that she knows that he's still thinking about her, make sure that she knows she's still important to him. One of the things that he does do is, even though he's supposed to be in Taiwan for 6 months, he catches a plane back to the U.S. every couple of weeks. So he tries not to be gone for 6 months straight, but not everybody's got that kind of money. Because, I mean, fucking plane ticket from Taiwan is $1,000 minimum, like $2,000 easy. A one way sometimes you might get a $2,000 round trip ticket, but just think about the fact that a lot of times, like these plane tickets to and from Taiwan be costing some money. So he's showing her how important she is, because he's investing a lot of his capital into trying to make sure that he gets back to her so that he can spend time with her in person. But when he doesn't have the time, or he doesn't have the resources to get back to America to be able to spend time with his girl, he still has to find ways to show her that she's important. We all know that we have FaceTime. That doesn't always work. Beyond FaceTime, we have Skype. Skype's always been free. You can buy minutes on Skype. I don't know why you would buy minutes on Skype if you have a really good internet system, but you can do Skype. WhatsApp allows you to do video calls too. Google Meets also has a way. So basically, taking the time out of your day, that when you talk to your significant other, instead of texting them, instead of emailing them, instead of writing them a letter and sending them a card, that you call them and look them in the face and let them know that they're important to you and that you miss them, because that is how you are able to get them to know and understand that you're thinking about them, you miss them, and you care about them. Other things that you can do is, if you guys are going to be video calling each other on an unlimited data plan, then you guys can try to play games together. I was just telling you guys about that one game that I had showed you guys on the show yesterday. The Dating Assassins game was 150 questions that are a bunch of hard-hitting personal questions. That's the kind of game that you guys could play abroad. Like, one of you could have the deck. You could pull a question. You could get 2 decks, because they're only $29.99 a deck. You could get 2 decks. And then you got one and she's got one. You could ask her a question. She could ask you a question. If you're answering all the, that's 150 questions for one person to answer. You guys probably might go through 10 or 20 cards per person at the most, if you've both got a 60 card deck, and then you're asking each other questions. And by the time I figured you guys should be able to play that game at least once a week. You probably be able to play that game like 10 times before you get bored with it, because you've got, like, not everybody's going to get to answer every question. And if you don't shuffle a deck until you go through all of the cards in the deck, then you're gonna have multiple turns where you never get the same question twice, and then you shuffle the deck after you've gone through all the cards. And some of the cards that ask an open-ended question where you could think of more than one situation that applies to that question, you can just give them another example. So there's that as well. So there's a lot of ways where that deck can come in handy. But you guys can play games together on the internet. You guys can talk to one another. You could got. I know some people that are gamers. I actually got a chance to link up with Mr. Pibbs earlier today, and he was telling me a nifty something or other about dating somebody, and then they come and ask him about his gamer profile having a source code, a lock on it, a password on it. I'm sitting over here thinking like, yeah, I mean, you gotta have everything locked up these days because like Pretty Boy Fredo's girl but took his shit, threw it in the fucking trash. And they got one girl who threw dude's PlayStation 5 in the goddamn pool. Man. And then we got others that will delete your profile and stuff to that effect. So you don't really want to have the ability for them to sabotage your success on, even if you're not making money off of it. You don't want to give people the ability to sabotage your success on the on your game. So you want to make sure that you keep locks on it. You want to make sure that instead of having it set up in the main living room, this is where men have man caves because of the toxic relationships. You get you a man cave, you put your Xbox in that man cave, and then you lock the door. But beyond that, get you a girl that's reasonable, that's able to mesh well with you, that actually likes playing video games too, or somebody who doesn't actually have that as a to-do thing, but doesn't mind doing a certain specific game with you. You guys can play video games together. You guys can go online and travel the game together and put on the headset. Y'all could be on the same Call of Duty team. Y'all could be on the same PUBG team. Y'all could be in the same faction on GTA, and y'all could do heists and snatch cars and do import-export missions, and you guys can work together, build up your GTA 5 empire until GTA 6 comes out, because GTA 6 is supposed to come out in a few months, but a few months might turn into a few years. Just saying. It's the principle of the fact, though. You guys can have a good time playing video games, and then you wouldn't have a lot of these negative drawbacks of not having quality time with one another. Gift cards, I wouldn't do gift cards because just sending them money, you got a lot of people, not just women, people that don't really appreciate you sending them money. They could use the money to subsidize their income, but they don't really appreciate you sending them money. But if you wrote a handwritten letter or a poem or something like that, and you put it into an envelope and you mail it to them, even though you're calling them on a regular basis, whether it's every day or once a week or whatever, if they randomly get a letter for you in the mail that you didn't tell them that you had sent, that's going to make them feel a little bit more important, because that might be the day that you either forgot or didn't have the time to call them, and that's the day that they end up getting a letter from you. So that's another way that you can maximize your long distance relationship. Beyond prioritizing time to get back to your partner, the other way to maximize the longevity of your relationship is to put a little bit more effort into trying to do chivalrous things and those hopeless romantic actions that actually helps fuel the relationship. Now, I understand, fellas, it's going to be a one-way street. We're going to be doing the poetry. We're going to be doing sending the gifts. We're going to be doing all of the and then all we're going to get is a smile and a thank you. And, oh, I'm so happy when she does contact us. And if we meet the girl in person, then we might get sex. But fellas, until we put our foot down and we stand on our non-negotiable expectations for behavior and expect to be treated the same way that we're treating our partner, we're probably going to have to just deal with the fact that we're going to be doing a lot more investing and a lot less receiving. Until we start picking higher value women that are going to reciprocate. But just for the sake of discussion, assuming that you have a partner that's egalitarian, that's willing to do for you to the same magnitude, if you're writing her random letters, she should be writing you random letters. You're sending her random gifts, she should be sending you random gifts. I understand when you start spending money on gifts, you start wasting a lot of time, a lot of finances and resources that I would recommend that you just invest in stocks, bonds, or real estate. But, people like to express their feelings by spending money. I would express my feelings by saving money. But let's just say, get them a gift, let them know they're important. Now, call me cheap, but you could actually take a picture of that same gift and send it to them in a text message and not spend money on postage and not spend money on a gift at all, and let them know that this is the item that you were looking at when you thought of that person. And the thought that counts would go a long way with that. Women aren't going to buy that shit. Women, if you were to go to a rim shop, takes a picture of some sweet ass rims, take a picture of the schematics of it, the price of it, everything like that, bring it back, show it to your boyfriend or your husband. He's got a car, he's into that, he's going to be like, yo, that's dope. And you gave him all the information for it, so if he wanted to go get it, he'd go get it himself. Woman, you can't take a picture of a dozen roses and give it to her and say Happy Valentine's Day. That's not gonna fly, bro. Give her a screenshot of some roses. You ain't going too far with that, bro. You're not going too far with that. You have to buy her some actual roses. And if you didn't buy her roses last time, this time the roses might need to be dipped in gold. You're not gold laced roses. You're not going to be able to just go in the backyard and just pick a bunch of the little lilies and stuff out of the backyard, the little dandelions and stuff like that out the backyard, and just bring her a bouquet of wildflowers. She's gonna look at you like, why are you gonna bring the weeds out the backyard? You should have cut the grass. That's what you're gonna get. But the thought that counts is what's supposed to happen. When we get rid of our inflation, not only our ego inflation, but our inflation style with wasteful spending, we probably would be able to be more successful with grabbing. We'd probably be more successful with like getting appreciated from the people grabbing things for us, is what I was trying to say. I had a brain spark because I was sitting over here operating on coffee. It's been a long week. Matter of fact, let me tell you about this week real quick, because we're talking about long distance relationships. So, I'm about 2,000 miles away from other people that I know, and I'm glad that I'm 2,000 miles away because nobody can come over and tap me on the shoulder and ask me for shit. But as I don't like people, I love you guys on the show, but I'm antisocial in person. I'm the best friend that you could ever have, but in my mind, I'm sitting over here like, man, I wish I was in a room by myself right now. I got 2 dogs. That's all the attention that I need. Got a wife, give her attention, and then I go sit down somewhere and mind my own damn business. It's just like, socializing with people that don't live in my house. That's not what I'm about. I'm like, no. That's work. It takes work to leave. Anyway, the whole moral of the concept is that, and it's kind of plays in line with the long distance relationships. People I know, some of them had some wind damage, some of them had some rain damage, because I'm going to call it a typhoon, because here in America we call it a hurricanes. But after I finished talking to some of my clients in Hong Kong, and they were explaining to me how their weather is and how our weather is in comparison to their weather, I'm like, oh, so your typhoon is a hurricane? And they're like, yes. And I was like, sheesh. At least y'all got an evacuation strategy. All they did was turn the power off on us. America be like, it is what it is. Storms coming. Save Transformers. Turn off the power. And then you see those videos on social media with people in their living room in boats because their living room is full of water. Now, when you're dealing with a long distance relationship, it's hard for you to hop a plane and fly back, because if there's a disaster and the planes are not flying, you're not going to be able to get there. The other problem that you have with long distance is that if your partner is in an emergency and they need protection, you're thousands of miles away. It's going to take you an hour to get to the airport. It's going to take 10, 15 hours for the airplane to get to touch down. You still got to get picked up from the airport. And if the person that's calling for help is not picking you up from the airport, then you're not going to be. So you got to rely on law enforcement. And that law enforcement only comes and helps if there's immediate danger. Immediate danger, not just a cause for concern. If there's a cause for concern, you got a 2-hour response time. If there's immediate danger, you got a 30-minute response time. So, if your life is in danger, where in the next 30 seconds you'll lose your life, they'll be on their way in 20 minutes. So They're so busy, overstressed with harassing people standing on sidewalks with video cameras, recording and taking pictures of buildings, that their resources is too stressed out to be able to deal with real emergency calls. And then they also have so many of them that are harassing people who are traveling in their vehicles that they don't have enough time to answer real emergency calls. And then lastly, they're still dealing with the paperwork from the last time they went to an emergency call, and the victim that called for help didn't survive the police encounter. So they got too many things to go on right now for you to say, oh, well, if I'm in danger, I'm gonna call the police. But the fact is that these days, the confidence that we have in our partner, we can't even say that if I'm in trouble, I'm gonna call my partner. Matter of fact, these days, if I'm in trouble, I'm gonna pray that when help arrives, whoever help is, that help is working in my favor, and then I'll let the EMTs or the whoever's got my phone contact somebody I know and say, hey, somebody was in a situation about 3 hours ago, and they need you to come pick them up now. The situation resolved itself because you don't have confidence in your partner. Now, why do I talk about that story? Because you got to look at it. Like, these days, we got to have faith and loyalty and respect in our relationships, and that means that we have to be able to really have the capabilities to develop a codependent style relationship with our partner. We're not. Truth is, when you start dealing with long distance relationships and independentness, you start dealing with no relationship. You do not want to be so dependent that you can't function, but the probability of your success is if, then when. So if you and your partner are both on the same side of this situation, then when one of you makes a decision, the other one will follow. But if you guys are not a conditional probability, then you guys are going to fall apart. Long distance relationships are hard to maintain. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff that comes into play, because while it does require, I know some people say that, oh, well, cheaters are cheaters because they're cheaters, but lust is a big factor that everybody has. Not everybody knows how to control it. Not everybody wants to control it. And it's hard for you to say that, oh, well, if I'm in a long distance relationship, I'm going to be faithful, I'm going to be loyal. That's not the case. You have to understand that if you have a long distance relationship, you're not in direct connection with your partner for extended periods of time. You have needs just like he or she has needs. And there's going to be situations where even if you are not engaging or entertaining the temptation by deliberately putting yourself in a situation to be tempted, it doesn't stop you from being in situations where other people are tempting you. Now, self-control of the average person is the expectation where if I'm not available, you're not going to look for it somewhere else. But there are very few people who have the exact same additional self-control of saying that not only if you're not available, that I will not seek out temptation, I'm also going to resist temptation. They got some people who, after a while, will fold on temptation because there's that desire of meeting that lust, that expectation for lust. Now, there's only so much self-gratification that you can do, and after November, the wheels are going to turn where the adult industry is no longer going to be available because OnlyFans is going to get shut down. So you're not going to even be able to find ways to self-gratify, because back in the day, back before the internet, we had Hustler, we had Playboy, we had all kinds of ways to stimulate the mind. And now you got hubs and X's and all kinds of sites where you go and get the visual entertainment as opposed to using your imagination. Man, when they shut all that stuff down, you're not going to have even the visual entertainment. You're going to have to go out there and do something strange and go and find somebody standing on a corner that looks like they need a ride, but they really don't need a ride, and offer that person a ride. That's the only way you're going to be able to get that gratification. So that is seeking lust. But that doesn't change the fact that in certain situations that you're going to be tempted by lust, because you could be somewhere minding your own business. Women are going to have this happen to them more than men, but somebody could make a pass at you and try to get your contact information, follow up with you with communication, and after they followed up with you for communication for a brief period of time or a reasonable period of time, you guys are going to end up where the proposition for an encounter will occur, and then you have to resist or be able to say no. Key factor: if you're in a long distance relationship and an argument breaks out in your phone call or your text message or your email or your Skype or your they cheating. Out the gate, it's done. It's done. Somebody after that call is cheating on somebody after that call. You're not telling me that a long distance relationship, you're not even here, and we fighting. That relationship is dead. That relationship is dead. Whether or not y'all officially break up with one another is irrelevant. That relationship is dead. Because nobody gets into a relationship so that they can argue with other people. I know that somebody's going to say, oh yeah, there's narcissistic people, they do that. No, narcissistic people don't really give a shit about how you feel about things. And there are some that actually seek entertainment from manipulating your emotions, but they're not necessarily going to just put in extra effort just to run out there and go and get into a relationship just so that they can have chaos. Some people do like toxic chaos, but not everybody really likes that toxic chaos. L Beats says the majority of communication in long distance relationships has to be talking, not texting BS. I wish we would have had video when we were dating. Beats, that is exact. I'm telling them, I'm the last generation of your generation because I started with internet in 09. I'm an 80s baby, so I can tell you right now, we had talking to each other on the cord phone. You had that 50-foot cord that you had to hold and roll up, and it used to be a belt sometimes when you was too close to the phone and you didn't do what you were supposed to do and your parents beat that. Look, I'm telling you, we used to have, but we went from I remember, the phone where you had the you know what I'm saying? I know that. You gotta figure out how to, they don't know nothing about that. They don't know nothing about that. That before you had the buttons on there where you had to push button. I'm talking about you had to hook that something and you rock all the way around, and you had to get get your finger in the right hole and get the right number. Yeah, I remember that. I remember back in the day when all you could do was pick up the hook and then say, operator, pat me through to so and so. I remember that now. I remember that. We used to talk to one another directly. We used to write letters to one another when we did not have the ability to be there on a regular basis. We would put effort into traveling to other people. We would get on bicycles, skateboards, rollerblades. We would make it out there, and that was the effort that we had. Now it's harder when you're overseas, but B says when he was stationed in Saudi Arabia, we had to write letters, and they took more than a week. You're right, but if you're writing a letter every day or every other day, and you're mailing letters on a regular basis, by the time the letter gets there, there's like 7 or 10 more in the mail. So once the letters start going out, responses start coming back, you have delayed reactions to the previous letter. So as long as you're not in an argument where you're responding to last week being cursed out, you're good, because you guys can remind each other how important you are to each other. You guys can tell each other stories about what you've been doing and everything to that effect. And heavy communication is key. But there's also the ability to maintain regular recognition. So in modern times where we have video calls, voice calls are good, but video calls are better, because you don't have to just see that. There you go. See that? He still got the letters. That's what I'm talking about. And then those letters, 30 years later, you can read them and remember how much you guys used to be in love back in the day, and actually use those letters to rekindle what y'all once had. If you guys have grown content with one another, being around each other for a while, and while you still love each other, you don't have that same fire and passion, you can rekindle that fire and passion by going back and rereading those letters and remembering those good times that y'all used to have. Even though y'all are neutral right now, y'all not like great over the hill honeymoon phase, y'all can get back to that honeymoon phase just by rekindling those letters. So letters are really important. Sticky notes. You can just leave little cue cards all over the house where you write little notes about your partner and let them know how you feel about them. Let them know that you love and care for them. Let them know that you're thinking about them. I know that You can only see it in the animes if you're not dealing with a woman that's from the 50s and 60s and 70s, because the women in the 90s and the 2000s, especially 2000, they ain't doing this. But you can see it in the Japanese movies where the girlfriend will make you something to eat and then put a note on the food and stick it in the fridge. So you wake up, your wife or your girlfriend is gone. You go to the fridge and she's got your favorite meal in there, where she spent all night while you were asleep cooking it, and then she put a love letter on your note. I mean, on your food, so that you knew that she cared about you. Where you got food to go to work with to eat. They don't do that. But if you did that, you'll be able to show your partner how much that person means to you and how important they are to you. And I strongly encourage that on a regular basis. But as men, the ways that we go about it, because we're supposed to be protectors and providers, we're supposed to be able to recognize them from communication, but we can do gifts. I don't recommend wasting a bunch of money on gifts. I recommend taking every dollar that you can spend on gifts and putting it in investments, because if you're not $1 million person, if you're not living off of $50, $60, $70, $80,000 a year worth of interest, then you need to save every dollar that you don't need to spend on bare necessities, so that you can get to that level, so that you and your girlfriend or you and your wife can retire between 60, 70 and be able to travel the world. Y'all can give each other your undivided attention on the back end if you take all your money and save it in the forefront and invest it somewhere. If you waste money on frivolous things, then you're not going to be able to have that money to invest to make you some extra money. But for the sake of recognizing your girlfriend, don't send them money. Don't send them money. Don't send them money. But what you can do, like I said earlier, is you can arts and crafts. So those of you that have hobbies, you can have you can create something like origami. You can do, I keep thinking of Pictionary, but it's not Pictionary. But it's like an arts and crafts, where like pottery or something like that, you guys can make things instead of spending all of this money on buying stuff for your partner. You can put the effort into making things for your partner, so that you can then put the effort into shipping it to them if you're long distance. And then they don't just have a gift that came from you, they have a gift that you made. And the more effort that you put into making that gift, the more valuable that gift is. Think about, so you guys know that, writing a letter, probably drafting an email, you could probably do with an AI software. Writing a letter by hand is hard these days. It wasn't hard in the 80s and 90s when I was younger. It wasn't hard when Beast was younger. But for those of us that, type a sentence into an AI system and get a 3,000 word letter, it's hard for us to say that I'm going to sit still and write a 2-page double space front and back letter. That's a 4-page letter from SWV. You're not going to get that type of effort from most people. If you get a paragraph, you're lucky. So if you can sit down and think about what is going through your mind, how you feel about this person, what you miss about them, what you like about them, like what things you want to do with them, make future plans with them, and you put all that stuff down on a piece of paper and handwrite it, and you got to work on your penmanship, because we've been clicking on using our thumb to use 26 letters a day for cell phones. And those of us that can type, but those of us who can't type kind of do this and get the stuff out on a computer. So remembering how to write with a pen, hard to do. So practicing your penmanship, you're putting a little bit of effort. So writing a letter to somebody, letting them know how important that they are to you, is really good to keep that attention in your relationship. But a letter is still 1 to 2 hours. I had a couple of people that I was helping with essays last night, and each one of them, we spent 2 hours on the first page, 4 paragraphs, 2 hours to piece together. We already had the research. All we had to do was structure it. 2 hours to put it together. So could you imagine where there's no research, where there's no copy and paste, you're just sitting here thought by thought, trying to do 2 pages front and back? That's hard. Now, the next step is making stuff. Origami is kind of easy. And I'm not talking about paper airplanes, because you can do that in detention, and that you can knock that shit out in a few seconds. Literally, like if you make like a swan, that's kind of generic. But if you can use some origami and make like the Mach 5, and If you don't know what the Mach 5 is, you ain't old enough. But Beast, you know what the Mach 5 is. If you could origami the Mach 5, or for some of you younger generation, if you could origami the Batmobile or something like that and send it to your partner, or like a pony, since like Barbie or whatever, and send it to it, then they're like, oh snap, he put some effort into that. Paper mache. If you build something out of paper mache, they're just fragile when they're done. That's why we'll start talking about pottery. Make a bowl, make a coffee cup, make something that like you make it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you make it, and you can make it weird looking. And then it'll be the ugliest cup in the house, and she will love it and never let anything happen to that cup because you made it. But guess what? If you get them, this is why I say don't give them money, because money comes and goes. If you're going to give somebody a gift to let them know that they're important to you, you're going to give them a gift that will last. So gifts to women, not jewelry. Not jewelry. Not because they don't appreciate it, because women may appreciate the jewelry too much, which means you'll never see the jewelry. You have women with jewelry boxes. They got little, either like a music box kind of thing, or they got a whole fucking setup here, and all of their nice jewelry is in that box. You never see it. They only wear it on special occasions. They might have a certain pair of earrings that they might wear because you got them. They might have every now and again a certain necklace that they wear because you got it, but that's it. More often than not, you're not going to see it. The engagement ring, they'll wear that. The wedding ring, they'll wear that. But you give them jewelry, and you're gonna be regretting that. He said, don't start the bar off too high. Let me tell you, I learned from mistakes. Do not. I said that exact phrase. Don't start at the top, because whatever you do at the beginning of your relationship is supposed to be capitalization. You're supposed to keep going up. I'm gonna have to do a show about this one day. The anniversaries, like really identifying the anniversaries and the level of magnitude of the gifts from the 1 week anniversary to the 50-year anniversary. You have to understand that the first handful of gifts are not diamonds and gold. You don't even get the diamonds and gold until like 10 years into the marriage. You're looking at in a relationship, like you're looking at like arts and crafts, you're looking at little stuff, and then you're looking at like building yourself up to diamonds and gold. But when it comes down to getting them jewelry, though, even if you're 20 years into your marriage, you buy your girlfriend or your wife a necklace or something like that, they're not going to wear it because they don't want it to break. Look at that. Paper is year one, I think. That's what I'm telling you. Origami, paper mache, writing letters. So you're not supposed to be dating this girl and 6 months in, you're buying her a necklace, you're buying her a bracelet, you're not supposed to be buying them shit until like they've been around for a long time. Now, these I'm not going to call them gold diggers. The women that have been conditioned to expect nice things from men without having to reciprocate are going to be very frustrated by this conversation. But truth is, if we had 1 date a week for the first 52 weeks, them first 52 weeks, I'm not supposed to be buying you nothing more than, like B said, paper, which means construction paper. I'm supposed to draw some pictures on the thing or something like that. Paper. I'm not supposed to be doing nothing that is like physical, like expensive, nothing or other. I'm not supposed to be over $20 for the first year to 2 years. I'm not supposed to be over $20. See what I'm saying? And women are not going to like that. They want that the hair and nails and all this other stuff. When I got to start spending more money on you than a car note, and when I got to start spending more money than you than my phone bill, like, bro, that's doing too much, especially in the first year, because she's not reciprocating financially, and she doesn't expect to reciprocate financially, and there's not enough manual labor that she's willing to do for a man to say, okay, well, I could spend $400-500 a month on you. Nah, don't work that way. So think about that, but then also think about the fact that when a woman loves jewelry, you get her some jewelry, she might wear it the first time, but you'll never see it again, because she doesn't want to lose it. She doesn't want it to break. She will put it away. She'll forget where she put it at. She can't find it. Now it's in there somewhere, but you'll never get to see it again, and you wasted all this money. You want to get a woman something that she loves, that you can see on a regular basis. Get her some clothes, appropriate clothes. That way you don't mind her wearing it. You get her a sweater or a hoodie or a long tee. When I used to buy my girlfriend's clothes, I would buy them 3 types of outfits for the house. Some lingerie for the special occasions, nightwear for the normal occasions when ain't nothing special going on, and really, really long t-shirts. Like the ones Lil Jon and them be wearing, just really long, like 3.5 foot long t-shirt. Reason why I get that is because she come out the shower, commando style, throw on a t-shirt. I'm happy, she's happy too. That's it. That's what you get. She can wear the t-shirt like a dress. Another thing I do for my girls, I like shiny. They like shiny. I like silk and satin. They like silk and satin. I buy a lot of the stuff that I buy for myself. I actually buy 2 of, because she's gonna take one. So I have a pink satin shirt. Girlfriend's got it now because she likes the way it looks. She likes the way it feels, and it's mine. But it's clothes. It's something that I'll see her in on a regular basis. You get her a special pair of. If men shopped for their women's underwear, you'd be the biggest dog on the block, because you go there, you know what size she is, you know how it fits her. You go and pick out the stuff for her. She's gonna wear it. Back in the day, men used to pick the women's perfume. Women used to pick the man's cologne. Women used to dress the men. The men used to buy clothes for the women that they wanted the woman to wear. So we would not be disappointed in what our partner was wearing because we bought it. We picked it out. I expect you to put that on. So that actually changes from, oh, what are you wearing that for? Because she wears whatever she wants. Your closet shouldn't have nothing I didn't buy. And if I didn't approve of it, you didn't get it. So you should only be wearing stuff that I approved of. But this is back in the day, though. This isn't today where Miss Independent, I can do whatever I want. So that's a little bit of a change. But another reason why buying them stuff like shoes, that's really good gift to give girls, especially long distance, because they're going to wear them shoes every day. So subconscious. So here's a one thing I've learned over the years, subconsciously, sensory memory, smell, sight, touch. If they feel things with their hands that remind them of you, they're thinking of you. If they see things that you've done and given to them and things to that effect that you put effort into, when they look at that, they think of you. That says Verizon? No, versions. Okay. If they smell something, when they feel good about you, when every time they smell that same smell again, they think of you. So sensory perception is very good when you're working on your gift giving. So just giving them something arbitrary. This is one of the reasons why men turn to flowers, because the feeling that they get when they smell that type of flower before is a feeling that they'll get every time they get that flower. So when you buy a bouquet of flowers for a girl and give it to a girl, you're triggering that experience the same way when you give a girl chocolate. You're triggering that experience. But the experience is short-lived, because if you get a bouquet of flowers that you've cut, you've killed them, that bouquet of flowers is only going to last you a few days unless you put it into some water, throw some fertilizer in there, and they might last you 2 weeks, but then they eventually die. So then you got to keep spending money on flowers, and whether it's $15 a flower or $120 for a bouquet of flowers or $350 for a bouquet of flowers with gold veins on them. All that matters is that you're spending that every time the flowers die. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. But stuff, and that's why I went back to talking about the pottery, because it's not just pottery, but pottery you can make like bowls that she can eat out of, utensils that she can cook and eat with, or cups that she can drink out of, storage containers that she could put stuff in. And you can really get creative about the gifts that you can give somebody. If you made it yourself, that effort actually is more valuable than a Rolex watch. to some people. Now, so I know some people gonna jump on the shit and say, "Nah, man, Rolex like 55 grand, bro. Rolex is more important than." Think about the fact that the person who made the Rolex is gonna have the same feeling about his Rolex that you had about the ceramic pot that you made. I mean, it's kind of okay, but I feel like I could have did better. That's exactly from the person who made it. Now, the person who receives it is going to see the Rolex and they're put all this value on it because it says Rolex on it. But the person who made the watch is going to be looking at it like, I mean, I could have did better at it, but that was I think I did a good job on this one. So if you, as an inexperienced person, or you're going to do something, pottery, arts and crafts, or something like that, and make them something, then they're going to appreciate that. Outside of arts and crafts, we're really good with wood. I know a lot of them. They got guys that are going to college right now that are getting welding degrees. Build a sculpture. Build a sculpture. I mean, most of the women that have a semi old-fashioned train of thought know to at least buy a man tools for his birthday and Father's Day. So if they don't give you a tie, if they give you tools, you should have a closet full or a garage full of tools. Put those tools to work. Build some shit. Build her a chair. And I'm not talking about order something on Amazon and put it together for her. I'm talking about really build her a chair. Build her a rocking chair. Build her a swing set. Build her a table set. Just build some stuff. Be like Tim the Toolman Taylor, trying to get more power. Do some grunting in the house. Give her a every now and again so that she knows that you're in there about to build something for her. Even if you build it and it falls apart, the fact that you tried, she'll get entertainment about the fact that it failed, that you still able to show each other how much you care about each other. Because even if you and if you deliberately build it jacked up, where you're building a chair like this where one arm is higher than the other one, just because you want to see her trying to get comfortable in the chair, you could diabolically set this up where you have entertainment about the fact that she's sitting in this chair crooked and she's sitting in the chair crooked. Shoe caddy. Exactly. The female got so many shoes, bro. If you bought a revolving shoe caddy, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Because now you can consolidate space. So instead of making a whole wall full of shoes for her shoes, you get a small space. You put like 5 tiers on there. You put you some motors on it. Had that sunbed spin. And now you got like 5 shelves. And you got like 75, 80 pairs of shoes on a revolving door that it just keeps doing its thing. She can just grab something off the shelf. You're good to go. You can go from a shoe caddy to a revolving coat closet. Remember what Tim the Toolman Taylor did where the clothes was moving through the closet? That's what I'm talking about. We could do some stuff just like that. Be creative about our gifts that we give to our girlfriends. We've seen some of those guys on TikTok that was able to cut a hole in his recliner, put a cup holder here, cut a hole in the side of the recliner, and put a spigot up here and put a beer tap right here. So he had a keg of beer attached to his recliner so he wouldn't have to get up. The problem with that is look at how much space that you've got here. It makes absolutely no sense for you to do that for yourself. But if you had an extended arm thing here, you could actually do that where you can have a table, have your spigot, have your beer mug. And if you can do that for yourself, you can build your wife or your girlfriend all kind of stuff. And then when you're giving her things that you made, those kinds of gifts are more appreciated. Now, ladies can build stuff too, but I mean, it's not too many. Sarah, what would you build for your man if you was gonna get him a gift? Because I know they got some females that'll rebuild your transmission. They got some females that'll rotate out your tires. They got some that just might detail your car and put the nice strawberry air freshener in there. So it really depends on the person. But think about the fact that the if you're gonna go on gift giving to show your partner how you feel, like build them a boat. Boat don't gotta float, just build them a boat. Build them a boat. Be like what Nash off of NCIS. I forgot his name. You know your boy. He was always in that basement building that boat for like 7 seasons. He was in there like Noah, just building a boat. Build her a boat. And it ain't even got to be no big one. It could be like a canoe. You could just build her one and then put it out in the yard so that she got one. So she could say that my man built me a boat that don't float. Just build her a garden. That's a 2-part gift. You can build her a garden, and then you can plant some stuff in the garden and then have her go tend to the garden. You benefit from that because not only does she have a hobby now that you created for her, but you've got fresh fruits and vegetables at your house now. You're welcome. These are the things that we're supposed to be doing. Teamwork. Instead of us wasting all of our time and effort in throwing some money at something and trying to impress our partner, that wasting money on things, they're not always going to take that in stride and say, oh, my boyfriend or husband loves me because he bought me a pair of Jordans, or he bought me this Gucci purse, or he bought me this Prada bag. They're gonna say, yeah, I got a rich man because he bought me a Bentley. But I think the woman whose man put a lift in the garage so that you could put 3 cars in the same 2-car garage, I think she appreciated him more than having to complain about move your car so I can back out of the driveway. Think about it. Think about it. Be more practical about your gifts. We made dishwashers so that women didn't have to wash dishes. We made cascades so that they would not have to soak the dishes before they put them in a dishwasher. You can get you a revolving dish rack. You could build a revolving dish rack where they don't even have to put the dishes into the cabinet. The dishes will just rotate around the counter. Most of the structures, if you look at real estate these days, in most kitchens, they have a little island in the middle of the floor that used to be a whole counter attached to the rest of the kitchen. They didn't took out a wall and cut a little section out, and now you can walk around this counter. That counter could have a machine up underneath it that goes through the thing, and then you have a shelf that just a conveyor belt that just rotates out dishes. That way, you don't got to go into the cabinet and get dishes. You can just grab a dish as it passes by. You could make dinner that way. Guys, there's another thing we can do. Those of us who know how to cook, we can cook for our girl. Because it's not likely that she's going to cook for us unless we're married to her. You can cook for your girl. Don't have to spend that much money, because $50 worth of groceries for one meal is expensive as meal to cook at the house, because that should last like 10 people, or it should go for 4 days, because there's no reason why, unless you're doing steak and lobster and shrimp and all this, that you're spending $50 on one meal that you're going to cook at the house for 2 people. It's not likely. So getting gifts for your partner, getting gifts for your spouse, and trying to do things that are practical to show them that you care. With long distance relationships, you want to get stuff that lasts. You can be cheap. If you're going to get a girl jewelry, you can get handmade jewelry that you make yourself. You can go buy the beads. You can get you a friendship bracelet. Get you a friendship bracelet. And that will probably be the only thing made out of metal, so that you can add to the friendship bracelet. You get your friendship bracelet, and then every week you send her a new trinket that you made to add to that friendship bracelet. By the end of the second year, she should have like 2 or 3 or 4 of these friendship bracelets with 52 trinkets on each one of them bracelets, or at least as many of them that could fit on there. And then when she can't fit anymore, you make her a new bracelet. She should have more handmade stuff on her wrist than Mr. T had jewelry around his neck, because that's how you show that you care. Where in that situation, a trinket to go on a bracelet is only going to be $1, $2. You might have would have spent $500 on showing her that she mattered to you in 2 or 3 years, as opposed to spending $500 for one situation. When you start talking about activities don't have to be expensive either. You could do stuff together. Or if you guys are apart and you guys are seeing each other virtual, that's what I was saying earlier, that video calls are so much better than back in the day with writing letters, because now you can video call her, set the camera up just right, and she could talk to you while you're building whatever it is that you're building. And you're building it for her, because if you're building it, then you're like, oh, hon, how long is your leg? And she, well, what do you mean? No, just how long is your leg? And then she tells you how long her leg is. You're like, oh, okay, just this length there. Oh, okay. And then she sees you grab the tape measure, and then you measure that length across this apparatus that you're building in the video. And she's like, is that for me? And you, yeah. What is it? Oh, I'm gonna surprise you. Now, fellas, I got one more for you, because If it's April Fool's Day and you're building her something, you can send her a coffin. I'm just saying, you get to lace it up, frilly, everything like that, and then it's a dual purpose because you could have sent it to her as a joke for April Fool's Day, but then you could use it again at Halloween. You don't gotta get, and it's tri-purpose because when she passed, you could actually put her in it. The past to be like, so we have an option for coffee. Oh no, I made her one like 25 years ago. I just it was our 2nd year anniversary. I got it for our anniversary's in April. I got it for, or I made it myself. That's the kind of stuff that you're able to do to kind of show your partner that they're important to you. So I strongly encourage you guys to get in there and try to be a little bit more creative, but putting effort into your partner is the key focus behind this. Putting effort into what you do for your partner and how you do it for your partner is more important than how much money you're spending or how much money is being spent on you if you're the receiver of the gift. And I know men like cars. I like cars. Beast got a 64 Volkswagen. I can tell you, if you get accessories to my custom vehicle, especially something from 1964, they very rarely make stuff for a vehicle like that. So if you can find the original replacement to that part, that's a gift in and of itself. And I bet you that gift ain't going to be expensive neither because that car is out. It's decommissioned. So that part is sitting on a shelf somewhere collecting dust. Once you contact the owner of that part, they, oh yeah, I'll sell it to you just to get it off my shelf. So, ladies, if you don't know what to get your man, you can get something for his car to improve his car. You can get something for him to improve his ability to function. If you notice that your man been limping, get him a knee brace. If you get him a cane, don't get him a walker. Don't get him a walker. Most men there got some men that are not comfortable enough to wear a cane, like take a cane with them, but they'll take a knee brace or an ankle brace. But showing them that you appreciate them is really, really important. B says, of all that matters to her is how much you spend. Move on. Bro, I have been saying that since November of last year, is that if the first question she asks you is what's your name and the second question she asks you is how much money you make, don't even talk to her after that second question because all she gives a shit about is how much money you have to spend on her agenda. If she cares about your character, she is never going to talk to you about money. She is going to talk to you about your decision-making skills. She's going to talk to you about your responsibilities, but she's not going to talk to you about how much stuff costs. She's not going to talk to you about what you have to pay for. She's not going to ask you for anything. You're going to offer. She's not going to ask you for anything. And if she accepts your offer, as soon as she sees that you might be able to have to pay for something, she'll come and reciprocate and throw that money back down on the table. Like, don't worry, baby, I got it. You took care of me when I needed it. I'm going to take care of you now. Those are the good girls. But because women don't realize these days, back in the day, back in the 50s and 60s, and it stopped happening in the 70s, men used to bring their paycheck home and give it to their wife and let their wife take care of shit. And then men would get out and go back to work. So instead of a man's off time being running around paying bills and fighting with people and trying to get stuff done, a man would come home and rest. And then he would get back up and go out and work again. The woman would take care of shit while he's at work, so that when he's at the house, she's at the house, he's resting, and she's aiding him in his ability to rest so that he can get back out there and do it again. We also have to take into consideration that this particular type of relationship happened when men were doing more manual labor jobs, more physically strenuous jobs. So being able to rest is a lot like being the cut man when your boxer comes back to the ring at the end of the round. But women these days feel like they're going to take care of themselves instead of taking care of their relationship and taking care of their boyfriend or their husband. And they're not really trying to contribute without a guarantee that they're going to get something out of the deal, which is a lot of the reasons why women are pushing men to marriage when the women aren't really committing to the man. They're committing to the man's resources. B says, Mark Cuban took his now wife to White Castle, their first date. He was a billionaire at that point. Look, nah, White Castle is expensive. White Castle is expensive. I ain't even gonna front. White Castle is actually more expensive than the Cheesecake Factory. You gonna say no, it's not. How many of them little sliders is you gonna eat? 15, 20 of them little buggers. But still in all, White Castle might be a $20 date these days. Back when he first met his wife, White Castle probably was like a $5 or $10 date. But White Castle these days might be a $20 date plus drinks. And at White Castle, there ain't no alcohol, or at least there wasn't alcohol being served back in those days. So you would have had a soda, cold drink, little fizzy pop, and then you would have had you a couple sandwiches, little mini, and those like pop in your mouth kind of things. So it wasn't like a kind of, it was like a pop in your mouth kind of thing, and you get the little sliders, and then again, the whole dinner is probably $20, $10 a person. But that's why Mark Cuban is a billionaire, because he only spent what he needed to spend. He wasn't trying to impress her. He was trying to see what kind of woman she was to make sure that she fit his agenda. As men, we need to change our mentality from going the extra mile to try to impress her to see if we like her. Because I don't give a fuck if she likes me. Let's be honest. You paying for her from the first day to your last breath. Do you really give a shit if she likes you? As long as she is with you, you are paying for her. Now, I understand happy wife, happy life mentality is that if she's miserable, she's going to make you miserable. So to keep from being miserable, you're going to put all this extra effort into trying to make her happy so that she can stop making you miserable. But that dynamic is toxic, because she is not going to put extra effort into making you happy because you put effort into not having her miserable. So it makes absolutely no sense for you to sacrifice your own mentality and sacrifice yourself as a person and sacrifice all of your mental and emotional stability to put somebody on a pedestal that is a psychological and emotional tyrant. I'm not saying that all women are like this, but I am saying that the ones that are not good will destroy a good man. And then the next woman that meets that man is not going to have a good man. She's going to have a man that was damaged by another woman. But I've told women on this podcast plenty of times before, when I say negative things about women jump off the podcast because they don't want to hear that shit. But I've told women on the podcast before, I said, look, ladies, you got to think about this. In order for you to say that there's something wrong with him because of past female trauma, you have to realize if he is your ex, you are the past female trauma. And if you are not his ex, the woman before you is past female trauma. So like we had a woman on the show one time before that said that her boyfriend had low self-esteem and he lowered his standards and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, come on. Hold on. How are you going to tell me that you think that you're a 10, but he chose you? If he got low self-esteem and he aimed low because he thought that he wasn't good enough to get what he deserved, but he chose you, how can you as a woman say that you're supposed to be a prize if he settled for less than what he's entitled to? And when men pick women, they're already settling for something less than what they're entitled to. So if he thought that he was lower than that, then he got something even lower than what he was entitled to. And yeah, still didn't act right. Like, so how can you sit here and say there's something wrong with him? If you say that you a 10, this man got to be a 15 or a 20. And if he psychologically believed that he ain't a 10 and he got him a 4 when he's really a 15 or a 20, you're not even 25% the value of the man that just left your ass. And you trying to blame him. The key factors is that when we're dealing with these relationships as men, we got the wrong priority, because a lot of us prioritize sex and we do anything we can to get it. Women know this, and women will dangle it like a carrot in front of a ass, because I mean that's what we are when we chase the sex, and just close enough for us to think we can get it, but far enough where we never actually get it, to see how far we'll go to get it. And then when that woman gets as much as they can get out of that man, she'll walk away and assume, oh, job here is done. But really and truly, she could have made more success with that man instead of dangling the carrot from him, keep him fed. But we don't get that. So as men, I say before, I don't give a fuck if she likes me. If she continues to talk to me, she must like something about me because she keep coming. I'm not saying to treat her like shit, but I am going to say that I'm not about to put no female on no pedestal talking about some, I'm going to worship the ground that you walk on. We were just sitting over here looking at this the other day. For those of us that come from a biblical religious background, think about the fact that you can read in the Bible where the Bible says that you're supposed to have the women supposed to submit to their husbands, right? Now, the men are supposed to do as Jesus did for the church, and Jesus sacrificed himself for the church. So the man is supposed to lay himself down on the line for the women. And oh yeah, it's good to see you. Hey, I'm about to wrap the show up anyway, but I really appreciate you coming in. I just wanted to touch base on this real quick before I slid up on out of here. You and I out of here at the same time because I got some work that I got to get to for the next show. But I'm gonna see you tomorrow, Beast, because we got another one coming up. And real quick, I got investor coming in. I got an investor book coming in, and then after the investor book, I'm gonna try to see if I can get the investor in here. And then I also got the person who made that card game. I'm gonna try to see if I get them in here, and a CNA. I'm gonna try to see if I can get them in here as well. So we're gonna start having some guests coming up onto the show as time goes on. So I just want you guys to be aware of that before I let you go, Beast. But I'm gonna see you tomorrow when you get back onto the show. But what I was about to say, guys, is that when you're coming from that biblical sense, they say that, well, the woman is supposed to submit to the man, and the man is supposed to sacrifice himself the way the man the way Jesus sacrificed himself for the church. First of all, you got to ask yourself, ladies, if you've got, a person that will put himself on the line for you, don't you think that you should at least be able to follow that person's instructions? Because like, his life is dedicated to you. The loss of his life is for your benefit. So every breath that he takes is in your benefit. So to continue to benefit from him, you are supposed to cater to his every need to make sure that he can continue sacrificing himself for your benefit. Symbiotic relationship. On the flip side, though, when it comes down to like the women that are supposed to submit to the men, guys, you got to have your shit together. You got to have something for the women to want to submit to. So you can't just say, well, the women are just supposed to bow down to the man. No, ladies, you ladies have to really be better at picking a guy that's not your type, that is actually fitted for your objectives. If you find a man that fits your objectives, he ain't got to be your type. You might be into thug boys. You might be into little op chasing YNs. You might be looking at them, but that's not what you benefit from. You might benefit from a man in a suit and tie. You might like a man with some throwback jerseys on and some saggy pants, but you actually might benefit from a man in a suit and tie. So you might only like a man with a good tan. You what might be better for you would be a man with no tan. Or vice versa. You might like a man with a short-cut head, but what might be good for you is the dude with the dreads. So instead of setting your standards to say, oh, well, that's not my type, I'm not going to fuck with that. What you need to do is you need to say, well, look, he's making the kind of choices that I need made in front of in my presence and in front of me and in front of my kids if you got kids. And he's doing the things that I need done. So I'm going to make sure that he has the ability to make clear decisions because he's not going to be tired. I'm going to make sure that he's going to be able to think rationally because he's not going to be hungry. I'm going to make sure that he's going to be able to represent my position to the best of his ability because his clothes will always be clean with no wrinkles on them. You want to make sure that he's clean so that people respect him, so that when he puts his foot down on your behalf, that people respect him, that when he walks up, people respect you. That way, you're getting what you're looking for out of your man. If you invest effort into your man will be able to invest that same effort back into you. But if you're not investing effort into your man, you're wasting his time, and then he's going to waste his time in trying to continue to further satisfy you without being reciprocated on. And while a lot of men loyally stay into the relationship 70 to 90% of the time when they're not getting anything out of the deal besides sex and a smile, those rare women that'll come up and give you what you're looking for, and those girls that come up out of the Philippines doing the same thing, that'll give you what you're looking for, bro, that is what you need. You need one that, even if you got a gold digger, if you got a gold digger that will help you build your wealth up so that she don't got to suffer and you don't got to suffer neither, you would do better with a gold digger that's going to help you make money than you do with a gold digger that's sitting there with a handout and she going to leave you suffering. You could get a girl that lie to you and say that she's not a gold digger, but if she's selfish, she talk about something, you take care of yourself, she going to take care of herself, but you still got to do stuff for her. She ain't got to be no gold digger, but she sure as hell ain't catering to you. She don't got to be taking your credit card and charging it to the Underhills to not care if you sick, not care if you hurt. You could be internally bleeding, choking up blood, and she don't care. She going to hang out with the girls. You know what I'm saying? But you could have a gold digger that'll run into a fire and come and get you, stay in the fire till she gets you out, just so that she can make sure that she can still get access to that wealth. It don't matter. You got one that will go the extra mile for you. That's a keeper. So these women in America that say, oh yeah, the girls in the Philippines are just like the girls in America. Yes and no. The ones in the Philippines might think that Americans are rich just because they're from America and America's expensive. But the ones from the Philippines will do everything in their power to show you that they're valuable to you. The women in America are self-entitled. The women in the Philippines are not catered to on a regular basis by men in their own country. They're catered to by Americans. The women in America are catered to by Americans. So the standard is give me money, because they've been spoiled to the fact that men are giving them money since they were young. But you can find you a girl in a rural area in Japan, Vietnam, Thailand, South Korea, Philippines, going to a rural area where there's more fields than there are houses. There's crops, very little cars. Everybody's transporting on foot or on bicycle. You go out there, you're going to find somebody, she don't even know how attractive she is. She just knows that she got big hands and big feet. She can pick shit up and carry it. And her fine behind will be out there putting in work. You take her out of that and put her in a situation where all she's got to do is just pay attention to your basic needs. You got you a keeper. This is one of the things where it's not something that we pay attention to. But when you get somebody that's humble to the fact that they don't need a bunch of unnecessary shit, they're going to give you a whole lot more than somebody who's only looking for unnecessary shit. If her priorities are her hair, nails, and everything else, makeup and all that other stuff, then her priority is not you. If what she gets out of the deal is going to be her primary focus, not what she can do for you so that she can get something out of the deal, where her focus is secondary, because I'm not saying go get a woman that's not selfish, because you're not going to find one that's not 100% selfish, but you're going to find one that her selfish desires are supported by her prioritizing you first. I might want a Bentley, but I'm going to help you get a Maserati first. I might want a house on the hill, on the ocean front, but I'm going to help you get the house on the hill first. You know, I might want a 5-star restaurant dinner, but I'm a cook and clean and rebuild the washer and dryer and rebuild the car and save you money so that you can take me out to that expensive dinner. See what I'm saying? They will put effort into making your situation better so that you have more resources, so that you can spend those extra resources on her. You get that, you got a good partner. So I appreciate you guys coming to the podcast tonight. We're going to wrap things up. We're going to start off by walking out of TikTok, because TikTok be doing some things. So, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to ask you to make it make sense. So, ladies, make it make sense. And I really appreciate you guys coming to the podcast from YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You guys have been doing the most supporting us so far Wow. They going hard. They are going hard with making sure that traffic wise. Hold on, guys. So back to the spin. I was saying, we've got a good podcast. Remember that we're live 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. So keep your eyes open for that. We are going to be dropping some extra stuff. I got a new video I'm trying to create. That's one of the reasons why I'm walking away today. I'm going to get that video up for tomorrow. And then after I get that video up for tomorrow, we're going to see how much traffic I get on that video. Then I've got another video because a book is coming in. It's supposed to be here today, but I think it might show up tomorrow. Once the book gets here, I'll be able to talk to you guys about investing. We got some dog treats, so I'm gonna be showing you guys the dog treats and showing you the dogs on the show with the dog treats coming up soon. And then we're gonna be doing a lot of other things that I think you guys should be able to really enjoy. So I'm gonna try to piece these things together bit by bit. I know I got to fill in next week's show. I'm trying to see who's coming to the show and who's not coming to the show before I fill in all of my days. But as I work things up from week to week, I'll be able to give you guys updates as to when we have some of these specialists live on set, and we're going to be able to build up the show with a long quantity of followers. So just remember, not just followers like guests on the show, the specialists that really know what they're talking about, coinciding with what I be trying to tell you guys on a regular basis. So I just want you guys to remember that if you stick with us on this and that and everything in between, there's going to be a couple things you guys are going to get. You guys are going to get some abilities to find ways to make money for you, find ways to bring more money in so that you have more money to invest into making money, make money for you, and just find ways to make better choices about your relationships and your first person accountability and non-negotiable expectations for behavior. So I really want you guys to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you for coming to This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm definitely going to make sure that you guys see me tomorrow night. We're going to be here 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. So you guys have a great night.